Thanks for sharing your story. So I was really interested when you say you didn't have a chance to work in the traditional waterfall method before. A lot of us, even including me, youngsters, we always started with the waterfall project. Maybe yeah, due to time, Agile is becoming more popular. But I think a lot of things that you mentioned earlier about Agile, empiricism, scientific method, and things like that seems probably not so emphasized in the Agile modern days. And that's why probably Agile is having a lot of tough times these days. Can you tell us a little bit more about this misconception of Agile in the modern days and what's the importance of this empiricism in Agile?
Yeah, I find that happens a lot. What I think people misunderstand about, I'll say an agile approach, or we could say agile methodologies, is that they come to the problem, I think, with a mindset that agile is a process, that you can learn how to do that process, that it consists of activities and outputs. And if everybody simply does all the activities and all the outputs, then you're agile. They're sort of missing the point. In fact, they're definitely missing the point, is that the events that you might perform, like a daily scrum, for example, it's important because it helps you do other things. But simply because you do a daily scrum doesn't mean you're being agile. And so the fundamental kind of foundation of agility, well, it usually starts with planning, and people don't talk about it this way, but is to start with some, in a sense, assertion about value. Is to say, we think if we build these set of product backlog items, for example, we think that if we build that and deliver it to customers, it will result in some positive thing that we want, usually an improvement in customer experience. And that improvement in customer experience may in turn lead to other things that the business cares about, like revenue and profit and things like that. So every sprint or every iteration or whatever you want to call it is really an experiment about value. The problem that a lot of organizations today, I think, run into is that they think agility is about going faster. They think that basically it's just a way of delivering a particular chunk of scope faster than they would have done with waterfall. But that's not really the point, because what we found through a lot of research, and there's some really interesting things that a guy named Ronnie Kohabi did at Microsoft. You can go to something called exp-platform.com to learn about this research. The interesting thing there is that at Microsoft, they were doing most of their data analysis initially on some of the web products and eventually expanded it to all products. The reason why I'm using Microsoft is that the same data shows up whether you look at Amazon or Google or any of these companies that you sort of think of as really leaders in being agile. Anyway, what they found in this research is that when they tested ideas to see if those ideas produced the desired results that they were looking for, about a third of the ideas produced the result that they were looking for, or produced a positive result. About a third of the ideas produced no result. It didn't produce a positive or negative. It's simply nothing. And a third of them actually produced negative results. So when you look at that collectively, what I've seen personally, this is true whether you're talking about a bank or whether you're talking about a government agency or a startup product company, is that most of their ideas are not actually valuable. And you can see this in your own use of products. You look at the product and go, why is this stupid feature in there? I don't want that. I don't want that feature. It doesn't do anything useful for me. Well, somebody else, it might do something useful. But a lot of the stuff, even in a small mobile app, it doesn't do anything useful. The only way you can figure out whether something is useful or not is to actually build it or build some part of it and show it to people and then get their feedback. Well, the organizations that think Agile is just about speed miss out, usually because what they do is they deliver a release, but they never measure the customer experience. They just move on to the next set of product backlog items that are in the next sprint or the next release. So they're completely missing the point about what agility can do and what empiricism can do for you. As a result, they're so concerned about waste and cost. But the biggest waste and cost that you have is basically building things that nobody wants and then maintaining that over years and years and years because you've never measured whether anyone uses those things. So I think that just waking up to that single thing to realize that most of what you think is valuable is not valuable. You can only test whether it's valuable by delivering it and measuring. And then you have to inspect and adapt your future plans based on that. So sort of tear that apart and say, what was wrong with waterfall? Well, the problem with waterfall is that you take 6, 9, 12, 18 months, sometimes years to deliver something only to find out that it wasn't valuable at all, or the market's moved, or you misunderstood what they wanted. We've seen that time and time again Big organizations would spend millions and millions of dollars building things that never got used by anybody. So the real key is to deliver in shorter increments, measure the result. That's the important thing that a lot of people who claim to be Agile aren't doing. They're never measuring the result. They just put it into production and yay, we're done. That's not very effective. So anyway, long way of saying that empiricism really is at the heart of agility. It's not about speed. It's not about efficiency. It's not about cost reduction. Although if you do it right, it is faster. And if you do it right, it is cheaper and you have less waste. But the main point is that you're eliminating the waste related to what various authors have called overproduction, producing things that nobody wants. At the same time, you're getting more effective and more efficient at how you deliver those things. That's the thing that I think is really sort of almost life-changing. Once you realize what that empiricism can do for you, it really changes the way that you look at things. Because once you realize that most of the ideas that you have aren't valuable, then you have to say, oh, okay, well, how do we find out if they're valuable? I get really excited about that topic.
Yeah, so I think there are so many gists and insights when you explain that. So the research in Microsoft, I heard that in one conversation before, that 33% or 30%, only 30% of those ideas that you produce actually produces value. So I think in many organizations, there are many ideas that fail. And Agile is not a way to just making things faster and producing results faster. Actually, the key points is about empiricism, right? This short feedback cycle loop that actually, if you do it right, you will get things faster. So don't just focus on the results, but also the process.